Ahoy folks, Craig from Pure Xbox here, and in this video we'll be reviewing the 8th installment in the storied Tekken franchise. But before we dive right in, this review was written by PJ O'Reilly for PureXbox.com, captured on Xbox Series X, and adapted into video by me. The last time we jumped into 2017's Tekken 7 on Xbox Series X, we were quite frankly astounded by how poorly optimized the game was on Microsoft's current crop of consoles. We're long overdue for a shiny new Tekken is the long and short of it, and so, as long-term fans of the franchise, we've been absolutely chomping at the bit for this 8th mainline adventure. With all of the game's single player now completed, we can report that between the arcade battle, arcade quest, character chapters, and campaign story modes, that you've got around 15 to 20 hours of solo content at a stretch. The campaign is around the 4-hour mark, split across 15 chapters of incredibly good-looking action. However, looks aren't everything, as the man says, and unfortunately, we felt none the wiser and a little deflated when the final credits rolled here. There isn't nearly enough focus on anyone or anything outside of the main revenge or world domination through line that's propped up the series since its inception, so it all feels a little flat and cold. It also tails off into a series of highly repetitive and incredibly overpowered fights that end up being a little too hard to follow at times due to all of the screen shaking and noise. We get the need for climactic bombast, but maybe not at the expense of easy to read and engagingly tactical battles. It's such a slick and smooth game when there's no cutscene stuff happening that we found ourselves getting impatient when control was wrestled from us for a bit of story. We just want to smash stuff without being corralled. We want the final face-off to be a purely skill-based, highly intense face-off for the ages. Fight! Now, it's not the end of the world at all with any of this stuff. In fact, we're still of the opinion that the narrative cinematic mode takes a big old backseat in terms of importance when grading fighters, but it's still a weak serve for solo pugilists when compared to the likes of Street Fighter 6 and the sterling work handed in by NetherRealm on Mortal Kombat 1 recently. Once you're done with the campaign, you can complete short arcade character stories for all 32 fighters on the roster, each one consisting of 4 scraps topped and tailed by light-hearted cutscenes and some unlockable goodies for your in-game avatars. This mode is the standout for us in terms of single player. Well, that is unless you're really into Tekken Ball. But these character chapters give you time with each pugilist, involving you in their stories a little bit further. More intriguing than any of these modes for us, at least at the outset, was the game's arcade quest, which we had initially thought was going to be a Street Fighter 6-esque open world single player escapade. That is all bad, admittedly, but what we've got instead is a quick and simple tour of a handful of arcade meetups where you learn the ins and outs of battle via a series of fights. This is a light-hearted, beginner-friendly fare aimed squarely at younger players too, and it's really all about revving you up to take part in online play. The focus here is on reminding you to play online for fun. Don't be scared to lose, ignore the haters, enjoy customizing your characters, aim to take part in tournaments, and have a good time with your pals. All very heartwarming, but in no way essential. Tekken 8 brings back rage meters from its predecessor, giving you a get-out-of-jail-free card of sorts when your health gets a little too low. These are big, brutal special moves, once per round affairs that have been well balanced enough that they give you some space and a shot at taking a decent chunk of health from your opponent, so long as they don't block. Beyond your returning rage system, you've got a full heat meter at the start of every round, and is triggered very simply by pressing RB. Once in heat mode, you are stronger for a period of time as the gauge runs dry, and can pull off signature heat moves to boot in order to do serious damage and pile pressure onto your opponent. Heat is incredibly flashy and fun to use. It makes for big, bombastic scraps that are always action-packed, and it works really well alongside Rage to give you some big-ass power plays to fall back on when your base plan goes to the dogs. And see, as far as we're concerned, the heat aspect of things is where the fighting here may draw the ire of some purists, at least initially. At the outset of our time with Tekken 8, it all felt a little bit over the top, a bit automated and easy to pull off, and our early fights were a repetitive barrage of heat moves and rage blasts. However, my Tekken-loving fans, this is before the real genius of the franchise's original combat system rears its head and draws you in, especially on harder difficulties. Once you've got a good sense of your chosen protagonist and start digging down into the insane number of moves, juggles, combos, blocks, and counters, that's when this party really gets started. And what a party! We've been right back to business as usual with martial law for the most part, because hey, he's the easiest to use and looks the coolest. But Harang, a rather portly Paul, Feng, Jack 8, Yoshimitsu, yeah, that's right, Tekken 8 has got a kick-ass lineup of returning characters. Not to mention, Jun is back since her disappearance in Tekken 2. There are also 3 newcomers. Azucena, Victor, and Reina will of course take some time to get to know, but so far they fit in well and make for exciting new propositions to boot. Once you know the ins and outs of any of these characters properly, that's when Tekken 8 truly comes alive. When you can read your opponent's next move, when you can counter flashy stuff calmly with your bread and butter sidesteps like some sort of Tekken Jedi, this game rises to the level of Tekken as good as we ever remember it feeling. Honestly, returning to Tekken after such a long break, it just feels so great to whip out the classic moves again, to pull off long juggle combos, sidestep attacks, to dash across an arena in order to stomp over a stricken opponent as they lay prone. It's as intoxicating now as it was back in 1994, and that's all we could have really asked for as fighting game fans who like to take things seriously without launching into our own pro career. We were also very intrigued going forward with the game's crazy ghost AI system. Now, we'll all need to wait and see how this shakes out when online is open to everyone, but this super AI system learns as you fight it. It copies your moves, your defense, your offense, and becomes a highly impressive version of how you scrap. It's a great way to train, obviously, but the possibilities are even more intriguing when you consider fighting against the ghost of pros, friends, celebrities, tournament champs, and anyone else who uploads their data to be used by other players. For new fighters, there's a smart and easy to use menu system that will show you recommended moves in the corner of your screen during battle, giving you the commands to a bunch of your character's best options. This can all be turned on and off if you prefer, but we recommend leaving it on when you're just starting out, just to give you a quick heads up on snazzy moves and a way to commit some input to memory. Beyond this, you also have a special style, which can be toggled instantly with LB to turn on, an aided style of fighting that puts juggles, specials, power moves, grapples, and so forth on single buttons. In terms of performance, Tekken 8 is top-notch stuff that looks and sounds incredible at points. Easily the best-looking fighter currently on the market, and beyond a few transition stutters from cutscene to gameplay, it's been pretty much smooth sailing all the way. We say pretty much because we did once have an AI fighter bug out on us, but beyond that, it's all been gravy. So, with Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat currently at the very top of their game, how does Tekken 8 fit into the current generation of fighters? Well, we reckon pretty well in the end. There's a lack of single-player stuff in comparison to either of its nearest rivals. However, it overcomes this by delivering a fantastically fast and flashy new variant of Tekken's core fighting action. For newcomers, it's as welcoming as fighters get. Fans of customization will be satisfied, and long-term purists should find that all the snazzy stuff gives way to more strategic action once the true depth of the franchise mechanics begin to fully reveal themselves. So in conclusion, Tekken 8 is a little light on single-player content in comparison to some of the other big fighters out there right now. And it does give off an initial impression of being super slick over strategically balanced early on. But stick with it though, dig down beneath all of the fancy new heat moves and screen-shaking rage attacks, and you'll find a classic fighting system that feels as good now as it ever has. Once you're in the zone, pulling off Phoenix smashes, dashing fists, and sandwich claps while sidestepping like a pro, any shortcomings are left at the door to the arena. So that about sums up Tekken 8. I'd say we're looking forward to seeing what you folks think of the fighter once you get your hands on the full game January 26th. But if you just can't wait until then, there is a demo on the Xbox Store right now. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching. All that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Cheerio!